Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Portia Monique, and today we have a fabulous guest by the name of Mary Sheffield. She is currently the president of the City Council in Detroit, and she's also running for Detroit mayor. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be on.
Absolutely. So, you are a history maker, right? So, you made history before as the youngest president ever elected to Detroit City Council, and now you are its first female president. What inspired you to take this next historic step in becoming Detroit's first Black female mayor?
I just think it's time. It is time. I think it is a ripe time in Detroit, especially in a political landscape that we're in, for bold leadership, for compassionate leadership as well. And we've never had a woman mayor, and I think it is well overdue. I also think that in the light of all that we're seeing happening in Detroit when it comes to the economic growth, the development that is happening, the revitalization of our city, is great, but I also want to ensure that everyone, right, feels the growth and the prosperity. In light of a lot that is happening in Detroit, we still have a huge amount of residents that are still living in poverty, where growth has not necessarily reached their neighborhood or their block. And I think we have a lot to do as it relates to economic empowerment for middle income people, for our neighborhoods, for Detroiters, ensuring that they're getting the skills and the education and training that is needed to be prepared for the growth that we're seeing in Detroit. And so I just believe that now moving into this next position, I have a unique opportunity to have more reach, to have more impact, to be the leader and the visionary for our city, and to be an advocate for our young people and for everyday Detroiters to ensure that they are benefiting from the growth and the prosperity of our city.
Absolutely. And now Detroit has seen its fair share of challenges and triumphs. What is your overarching vision for the city, and how do you plan to unite Detroiters behind your leadership?
Yeah, so I am all about continuing the growth, the momentum that we're seeing in Detroit, but ensuring that it goes farther, that it reaches more people, that more people feel included and benefit from that growth and that prosperity. I envision a Detroit where every single neighborhood is walkable, is vibrant, where we're investing in our parks, in our recreation facilities, where our communities are safe, right? Where families have access to safe, quality, affordable housing and a path to home ownership, where economic opportunity is within reach to every family and every resident, where we're investing in our middle class, where jobs are available and Detroiters are being hired in those jobs. Where we're supporting and creating an ecosystem that supports our small businesses, right? Because they truly are the backbone of our economy. And I think we have a lot to do with ensuring that we're providing access to capital, grants, and support in the infrastructure for our small businesses to thrive. And then, of course, a city that has a strong educational system where we're really improving the outcomes for our young people to succeed and to thrive. And that is through improving education, ensuring that we have skilled trades and dual enrollment within our high schools, and that we're really fostering an environment for our young people to thrive. We got to make sure that we're, just increasing the quality of the educational system that our young people are going through here in Detroit. So to me, it's really about fostering an overall environment that really cultivates the potential of all of our residents and all of our businesses to thrive in Detroit. Detroit at one point was the city that put the world on wheels. We had millions of people that flocked to Detroit at one time during the Great Migration because this was the land of opportunity. People came here for a better life. They came here because their dreams could be realized. And that is the vision that I have for Detroit once again, is to be that city of opportunity where people can come, where people can stay, and they can reach their full potential. Whether you are a resident, a business owner, whomever you may be, you can find your purpose and your potential right here in the city of Detroit.
You absolutely can. And as we know, March is Women's History Month. And in that same vein, what does this moment mean to you personally? And how do you hope your candidacy will inspire young women, especially Black women, to pursue leadership roles and or roles in politics?
Yeah, I just see it as an opportunity to inspire, really to be an inspiration to other women, to want to stand up, to lead and to serve, to not over question, overthink things. I think oftentimes what I've learned is that particularly women in office, we oftentimes second question ourselves more than men. And we talk ourselves into not even running for office because we think we have to have all of these things and all these boxes checked off. But, to me, it's about vulnerability and leading as you are. Of course, always wanting to grow and learn and absorb knowledge. But I really want this movement to inspire an entire generation of women to stand up and to lead where they are. I think women in general are underrepresented in government, period, in all levels of government. And so to have this opportunity to shatter this glass that has been before us, I think will really pave the way for more women to step up, not just locally, but all over in respect to government, city government.
Absolutely. And congratulations on being a glass shatterer. Um,
Yes.
because we definitely need more presence of women in politics and leadership roles and decision making capacities. So, thank you for being an inspiration there. Now, one of your major initiatives as city council president has been advocating for housing reform. You just spoke about that briefly, but we want to know, how would you expand on that work as mayor?
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I mean, this is really one of the major fundamentals of the campaign, and not just the campaign, but what I believe in my heart. We have to have strong home ownership in our city. When we talk about neighborhood revitalization and wanting to build our neighborhoods, to me, that's about building community. And one way that you build community is you have homeowners who live in those communities. And so I want to see more of a focus on paths to home ownerships for residents in Detroit, continuing to provide safe, stable, affordable housing throughout the city of Detroit so that people of all incomes can find either a place to own or a place to rent. But we want to have options that are safe and affordable for all Detroiters. I also just think it's important that, when we talk about housing, that we also mention the issue of homelessness.
Mm.
We recently had an issue in Detroit with a woman who had 5 children, and 2 of her children were passed away because she was sleeping in her car for 3 months. And I'm not proud of that as a Detroiter. As we talk about the growth in Detroit, we have to make sure that the most vulnerable in our community is protected. And so I would like to see more investments in our shelters, being innovative in our approach, whether it's taking vacant, abandoned schools and creating, shelters and housing for homeless individuals. I think we have to be proactive and innovative in our approach to how we address the issue of homelessness as well. But for me, my focus as mayor, again, would just be to ensure that we have access to safe, quality housing for all Detroiters with a focus primarily on access to home ownership.
Absolutely. That was such a sad case to hear and read about, with a young woman having the children in the van that she was living in pass away.
Mhm.
So yeah, so thank you so much for putting a focus on that, because it's so very important that we support the people in our communities, making sure that they do have the housing, making sure that they do have good shelters, and whatnot. So we definitely thank you for focusing on that, because it's definitely needed.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to small businesses and entrepreneurs playing a role in Detroit's economic future, how would your administration support that as well?
Yeah, so I think, what I hear mostly from small businesses, particularly Detroit-based businesses, number one is access to capital. So we have to do a better job at providing ways and mechanisms to support small businesses from a financial standpoint, whether that be through grants, partnering with the private sector, and finding innovative ways that we can provide cash and capital really to our businesses. Less than 2% of commercial loans go to Detroit, well, I should say go to Black businesses. And
Mhm.
so bringing our financial institutions to the table, making sure that they are adhering to the Community Reinvestment Act, I think is important so that our businesses actually have access to capital. The second thing is from a contracting procurement standpoint. So we have $1 billion, right? Billions that we procure every year through the city of Detroit. And oftentimes we do not see small businesses have the opportunity to compete and to do business with the city of Detroit. And so I would like to make some reforms there as it relates to
Mhm.
increasing the percentage of small businesses that actually do business with Detroit so that they're able to scale and to grow their businesses. And then also, I think from a permitting and zoning standpoint, I think there are some internal processes that we can improve upon that makes the city more of a business-friendly environment that does
Mhm.
not make it a hindrance. Not, bureaucracy and red tape, all of these
Yeah.
things stall businesses and make it more difficult for our small businesses to start up and to succeed. And then lastly, I'll just say the overall ecosystem. We have to have a better support of how we engage, support small businesses in Detroit. So I'm looking forward at working on all of those things.
Definitely needed. All of our small businesses can benefit from everything that you just said. So those things are definitely needed. Now, let's talk about making history as a disruptor. Detroit has never seen a Black female mayor. What barriers do you think have historically prevented that, and particularly Black women, from reaching this position? And how do you plan to break through?
Yeah, I mean, I just think we live in a country, in a society where, sexism is real, racism is real. We've overcome a lot of those struggles and are still every day, I think, all fighting for a just society where everyone is equal.
Mhm.
But I just think this is a great time in our country where, I'm not really trying to lead on just being the first woman. I think it's about the right person as well.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to continue to just lead with who I am, my values, what I stand for, what I want to do, and what I've done here in the city of Detroit. And I really hope that that is what resonates with people during this time.
Certainly. Now, you yourself have been described as a disruptor, right?
Uh-oh.
So how do you embrace that label, and what does being a disruptor mean to you in the context of leading this city?
Yeah, I've actually never heard that title for me. I do think people see me as someone that will stand up for what's right,
Mhm.
that is unapologetic in their position and their belief. Oftentimes, I've had to stand alone to make a point, and I'm okay with that. And so I just see me as someone who, is going to speak truth to power, right? No matter what situation I'm in. And I think that is a type of bold leadership that is needed in these very uncertain times, is that someone who is not ashamed or scared to stand up for people, to stand up for truth, for social justice, for what's right in the midst of all that we're going through. So I don't necessarily believe I disrupt things, but I definitely am going to speak the truth no matter what room I'm in and no matter where I'm at, and ensure that I believe I'm standing on what's principles that I
Mhm.
believe are what's right.
Absolutely, and that definition fits a disruptor.
Exactly.
Speaking truth to power, right?
Yes,
Speaking your
yes.
truth. So first 90 days, if elected, what are the top 3 things that you'll do in your first 90 days as mayor?
Well, number one, I definitely want to just do a overview of all of the city's operations. Every department, want to kind of get an understanding of what's working, what's not from an operational standpoint, in a customer service standpoint.
Mhm.
So we'll probably be doing a deep dive into every department, seeing what should stay, what should go. Things that are working should stay. Things that are not, let's see how we can improve. I definitely want to start working on structural property taxes reform. We pay some of the highest taxes in the country. So I want to start bringing people together around how we address the issue of our property taxes in Detroit. And then I also want to start bringing in individuals to make some major internal changes regarding small business development and how we improve some of our internal processes with small businesses.
Mhm.
And then lastly, we're going to definitely be doing some things around housing within the first 90 days for sure.
Mhm.
Whether that is, figuring out ways that we can continue to incentivize the development of new infill housing, or creating more ways to path home ownership in Detroit as well.
I'm glad that you had real answers and not concepts of a plan, such as some of
That's
these,
a good one. I like
um,
that.
such
Concept.
as we don't even need to name them, but I'm happy to hear that you have a real plan. Um,
Yes.
Now, in bringing this interview to a close, what do you want Detroiters to understand about you, Mary Sheffield, not just as a leader, but as a person?
Well, Mary Sheffield is a Detroiter, born and raised in the city. grew up over on 7 Mile in Livernois. Detroit has been just so good to me. I've learned a lot through this city. I am really, in a lot of ways, I feel like I embody what the spirit of Detroit is all about. Grit, determination, resiliency. I've been through a lot of up and downs, but I ultimately found my purpose here in Detroit and serving Detroit. I have a true passion for people and service. And so my entire life really has been dedicated to improving the quality of life for others.
Mhm.
And it's been an honor to serve on the council. I've always led with a heart of service, compassion, and making sure that the most vulnerable in our community is uplifted and protected, and that the people have a voice in government. And so I'm excited about this next opportunity because not only do I believe when I advance to the mayor's office, the people really advance with me. And to
Mhm.
have someone in the mayor's office that's people driven, that's compassionate, that is community driven, I just think at this time is so important. And I think it'll be a win, not only for Detroit, but for our young people as well. So I'm excited about the opportunity and I look forward to everyone's support.
And speaking of wins, you garnered one within the last couple of weeks. Attorney Benjamin Crump, famed civil rights attorney, he endorsed you. What does that mean to you? And what do you feel like it means to your campaign?
I think it solidifies me being the people's, as they say, the people's champ or the people's voice, the people's mayor, to be quite honest with you. It really touched me when he left that evening. He tapped me on my shoulder and he said, just never forget about the people. And
Mm,
he came here because he understands that the work that I've done, not what I'm going to do, but what I've done for 12 years has always been about elevating the voice and equipping and empowering the people
mm.
with the resources that they need to have a better life for themselves. And so it was an honor to have that endorsement because he is known all over the country for fighting for the most vulnerable, for being the voice of the voiceless, for civil rights and social justice. These are all things that I value. So it was an honor to have him come here and to know that I represent the future for this country and for Detroit. So I'm excited.
Congratulations on that win.
Thank you.
Last question. If you could sum up your campaign in one sentence, what would it be?
This campaign is about together. Together we can, together we will create a Detroit that works for everyone.
I love
That's
that.
how I'll sum it up.
Detroit City Council President, currently future Mayor of Detroit, Mary
Thank
Sheffield. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you. And how do we follow you on the campaign trail, on your journey? How do we keep up to speed on what's going on with you?
Yes, thank you so much. So everything is Mary Sheffield, all social platforms. And then my website is marysheffield.com.
We love it. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
and good luck on your journey. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.